What you know about how superglue was invented is probably a myth. And what's that got to do with healthcare anyway? Hang around. Welcome to Wellness Wednesdays. We're going to talk about it. A lot of people think superglue was invented on the battlefields of World War I and II as a wound adhesive. And that's actually not strictly true. The bit that is true is that superglue was actually invented in the Second World War. In 1942, scientists that were trying to find materials to make plastic gun sights for sniper rifles, the optical lenses and the bits like that, they came across the material that is superglue, and they discovered that they couldn't work with it because it stuck absolutely everything together, and therefore they shelved it and binned it because they couldn't do anything with it. Fast forward then to roughly 1950, when the cyanoacrylate glue found a purpose, and it was roughly around the time of the Vietnam War, and the medics on the battlefield and the soldiers needed something that could heal up wounds temporarily so that they could evacuate their fallen comrades without them bleeding to death. And it was around about that time that they decided to try and use this particular glue as a way to seal those wounds up and prevent people getting more harm whilst they were being evacuated from the battlefield. Today, this phenomenon continues, and the cyanoacrylate glues are used widely across the world in medical institutions, on the battlefield, in the operating theatre, in accident and emergencies, and general practice surgeries across the world. And they're a really good example of how sometimes the byproducts of something else can actually really help. And of course, there are lots and lots of other incidences where stuff that has been a byproduct or an accident has turned out to be something phenomenal for medicine. The most famous of which is penicillin. You know, Alexander Fleming came home from his holiday and found that a blob of fungus had interrupted the bacteria in his little petri dish, and obviously that became penicillin. Then, you know, other examples include Viagra. That was a drug that was designed to be used for angina and blood pressure, and turned out to have all sorts of other interesting and wonderful uses that have helped men all over the world restore some self-esteem. And I could go on and on and on. X-rays, nitrous oxide, warfarin, all sorts of stuff that we could talk about that has had wonderful uses in medicine. But I just thought, for a change, on Wellness Wednesdays we would discuss some things that happen by accident, and sometimes the best things do happen by accident. Anyway, all for now. See us again next week on Wellness Wednesdays.
Call the one you know, Halo Physio.